Is that a baby crying? A chainsaw cutting wood? A camera taking photos? Wrong on all three. That's one bird. One single bird so good at copying sounds that confused neighbors have literally called 911 thinking someone was stealing cars. This is a lyrebird, and I'm about to show you the incredible science behind nature's greatest copycat. So imagine if your pet parrot could copy literally any sound it heard. Car alarms, construction noise, even your annoying ringtone. Now imagine it could play multiple sounds at the same time, actually, at the same time. That's what's happening in Australian forests right now. These birds have been trolling scientists for decades with abilities that seem completely impossible. But here's the thing, it gets way weirder than just copying sounds. Meet the lyrebird. Yes, that's really what scientists decided to call it. When the males spread their tail feathers, it looks like that ancient Greek instrument, the lyre. But honestly, that fancy tail is just the opening act. These guys are huge, bigger than most birds you've ever seen. A full-grown male can be 1 meter long. That's basically the height of a kindergartner, but with the vocal skills of a professional DJ. They live in the thick, wet forests of southeastern Australia, places where sound bounces around in ways that would confuse most animals. Lyrebirds turn that acoustic chaos into their superpower. Most of the time, they're just doing normal bird stuff, scratching through leaves, looking for bugs, being pretty ordinary. Then they open their mouth, and reality breaks. How many different sounds do you think one bird can perfectly copy? Take a guess. 10? Maybe 20? If we're being generous? Try this. Researchers have documented individual lyrebirds copying 15 to 20 different bird species with perfect accuracy. But that's just the warm-up. Chainsaws, car alarms, camera shutters, construction equipment, even human voices. All coming from one bird with zero audio editing. But here's where things get absolutely insane. Listen to this recording. That's not multiple sounds played one after another. That's one bird making multiple sounds at exactly the same time. Individual males can keep this up for 20 minutes straight. 20 minutes of non-stop, multi-layered audio performance. That's longer than most pop songs, and definitely more complex. Scientists literally use audio equipment to verify that the bird's copy matches the original sound. Sometimes, they can't tell the difference. But here's the part that'll hit you. Some lyrebirds have learned to copy the sound of chainsaws cutting down their own homes. They're singing the soundtrack of their world being destroyed. They learned the sound of losing everything and made it part of their song. But how can they do it? So, how does one bird turn into a living remix machine? The answer is in their throat. And it's completely ridiculous. Every bird has this thing called a syrinx. Think of it as their voice box. Most birds have a pretty basic setup, like a simple speaker with just a couple of controls. Lyrebirds basically have a full recording studio installed in their throat, where most birds have 2 pairs of muscles and struggle to use them. Lyrebirds have 6 pairs, and they can use them individually. But here's the part that blew my mind when I researched this. They can control the left and right sides of their voice box completely separately. So while the left side is making a perfect chainsaw sound, the right side can be playing a beautiful flute melody at the exact same time. Imagine if you could sing 2 totally different songs with the left and right sides of your throat simultaneously. That's just Tuesday for a lyrebird. And here's what's completely insane. They don't just copy sounds randomly, they compose. Individual birds arrange sounds into 20-minute musical performances with themes and variations. They're not just mimics, they're composers. If you're as blown away by this as I was, hit subscribe, because there's a whole world of animals out there doing things that seem completely impossible. Oh, and it gets better. Baby lyrebirds are absolutely terrible at this when they start. Imagine a toddler trying to beatbox while having hiccups. That's baby lyrebird mimicry. But they practice for 6 to 8 years to get this good. That's longer than most people spend learning guitar. Just to get a date. Here's the plot twist. This entire 20-minute acoustic performance is basically the world's most extra dating profile. Male lyrebirds find a spot in the forest, clear it out like they're setting up their own personal stage, then put on the most over-the-top performance in the animal kingdom. They're basically saying, hey, check out my mixtape. Except the mixtape is live, it's 20 minutes long, and it includes your car alarm. Female lyrebirds are incredibly picky. They judge these performances like they're Simon Cowell with feathers. But here's what makes this system brilliant. A perfect performance proves you're old enough to survive, healthy enough to perform for 20 minutes straight, and smart enough to remember hundreds of different sounds. This worked perfectly for millions of years. Then humans showed up and started changing the playlist. Recent research revealed something nobody saw coming. These vocal artists are also ecosystem engineers. One bird moves 155 tons of soil every year just by scratching around for food. That's like 11 dump trucks worth of dirt moved by one bird with its feet. That's more earth than some construction equipment moves. They're basically farming their own food, creating perfect little habitats for insects, then coming back to harvest them later. But we're losing both abilities at once. Climate change and deforestation are destroying their homes faster than they can adapt. Some populations are already singing smaller repertoires because their fragmented forests don't have as many sounds to learn from. The Lyrebirds concert has been the soundtrack of Australian forests for millions of years. Whether your kids get to hear it depends on what happens with habitat protection in the next decade or two. If this completely changed how you think about animal intelligence, there are other animals out there with abilities that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about nature. Thanks for watching. Check also these videos.